We learn from an early age that it's important to be kind and value kindness more than our own interests. However, on the other hand, there's always someone warning us that being too kind can lead to problems. The world doesn't always repay what we give, because there are many good-hearted people out there who end up spending everything, both financially and energetically, on indiscriminate donations. If this is your first time watching my channel, I kindly ask you to subscribe and give the video a thumbs up so I can continue creating more content like this in the future. Could being excessively generous even put our lives at risk? You'll be surprised by the unexpected and negative consequences that kindness can bring. Today, I'll show you 8 things that can happen when you're too good, and I'll also introduce you to 4 Stoic-inspired strategies to prevent people from taking advantage of you. No more beating around the bush, let's get into it. 1. You set unrealistic expectations for people. The Stoics always said that it's important to accept things as they are and not depend on others' actions for happiness. By giving without expecting much in return, you avoid frustration and practice emotional detachment. This brings a sense of inner peace. Think about it, you strive to be generous and kind, giving your best to others without expecting anything in return. It's an admirable attitude, but often we end up expecting, consciously or unconsciously, that others will reciprocate in the same way. We hope that people will acknowledge our efforts and return the kindness. However, the problem arises when these expectations are not met. The root of the problem lies in our expectations. By assuming that others will act the same way we do, we become vulnerable. While it's natural to wish that others appreciate and value our actions, Stoicism teaches us that we have no control over others' actions, only over our own actions and reactions. It's complicated to be completely altruistic in our generosity, consciously or unconsciously. When we give a lot, we usually expect the same in return. The problem is that, after getting used to doing everything for others, they start to take for granted that you can handle all the responsibilities, especially theirs. The truth is, your expectations of reciprocity will almost never be met, and this ends up leaving you in a bad mood, tired, frustrated, and disappointed. Stoicism teaches us that true wealth lies in our ability to give without expecting rewards, finding joy in the act of giving itself, and maintaining our mental peace regardless of others' responses. 2. People will come to expect you to always be willing to give. Stoicism highly values moderation, and this becomes a crucial guide amidst an endless tide of requests. Instead of giving in to these endless demands, Stoicism encourages us to balance our generosity. By donating in a balanced manner, we retain control over our actions and avoid falling into patterns that wear down our emotional health. It's common to settle into situations that seem comfortable, what's known as the famous comfort zone. If we continuously take on others' responsibilities, we allow them to stay in this zone. They don't feel the need to grow or face challenges, because they know we'll always be there to help. However, this is detrimental, not only to them but also to us. By taking on others' responsibilities, we neglect our own needs and priorities. We get caught in a cycle of giving without receiving, which drains our energy and harms our emotional well-being. Practicing moderation and giving in a balanced way allows us to maintain control over our actions and avoid habits that erode our emotional health. It's important to give, but it's also essential to maintain a balance. Setting clear boundaries and practicing balanced generosity not only preserves our peace and well-being but also encourages others to take on their own responsibilities and grow as individuals. In this delicate balance, we find a true generosity that benefits us all. 3. Your own priorities will be ignored. The Stoics emphasize the importance of living in accordance with reason and virtue. Setting boundaries and prioritizing our own responsibilities is essential for maintaining balance and avoiding sacrificing our authenticity and well-being for others. If you're devoting too much to others' priorities, you may be avoiding something within yourself that causes you pain and fear. The emotions that emerge in moments of solitude can be overwhelming. The emptiness, the silence, and the longing for connection can generate deep emotional discomfort. Often, we seek refuge in others' needs, sinking into serving others as a way to fill the void we feel inside. The price of this constant commitment is high. You lose yourself in the process, your inner voice is suffocated by external demands, and sooner or later, when you face the tranquility of your own being, the pain and fear you tried to avoid emerge with renewed force. It's crucial to understand that attending to our own needs and priorities isn't selfishness, but rather an act of self-care and preservation of our authenticity. Stoicism teaches us that setting boundaries and living in accordance with our own virtues is not only a form of self-love, but also the path to an authentic and meaningful life. So, when you feel tempted to get lost in constant service to others, take a pause, acknowledge the uncomfortable emotions that arise in solitude, and welcome them with compassion. Allow yourself to be authentic in your desires and needs. Set healthy boundaries and learn to say no when necessary. This not only strengthens your internal integrity, but also allows you to offer balanced and authentic generosity to others, coming from a place of fullness and authenticity. 4. You'll be seen as weak and treated that way. Stoicism encourages us to develop inner strength and self-control, setting boundaries and practicing self-discipline. When you go above and beyond in helping over time, you may be considered an authority in the area where you collaborate with others. But it can end up conveying the opposite impression. The lack of boundaries can make you vulnerable, and people notice that vulnerability. Instead of respecting you, they may start to exploit your willingness to take on others' responsibilities without question. This can lead to a constant situation of overwhelm, exhaustion, and frustration. By starting to say no firmly, but respectfully, something surprising happens. People begin to see you differently. You're no longer the one who accepts everything without objections. Now you're someone who values yourself enough to set boundaries, someone who deserves respect and consideration. This change in perception is crucial. By uttering that simple word, you transform how others view you. You're no longer an easy victim to the never-ending demands of others. You become a strong individual, capable of protecting your boundaries and therefore, deserving of respect. Ultimately, respect doesn't just come from what you do for others, but also from how you treat yourself. By setting boundaries and practicing self-discipline, you're sending a clear message to the world: you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. So, the next time you find yourself in a situation where your boundaries are being tested, remember the strength that resides in that small word. By using it, you're standing up for yourself and reaffirming your own self-worth. 5. There will be many buts. People will only approach you when they need something. When you become someone willing to help unconditionally, it's natural for the people around you to take notice. However, this attention can have a negative side. Those who used to be good friends may start excluding you from fun social activities, reserving your company only for when they need help. This behavior may seem ruthless, but from a practical perspective, it's not so surprising. People often invite close friends, family, or those with whom they have a genuine and equitable relationship to share leisure moments, and not necessarily their employees or collaborators. The shift in how you're treated can be confusing and in many ways, unfair. You find yourself in a situation where you freely give only to feel excluded when it comes to fun and casual moments. This selective treatment can be painful and evoke feelings of disillusionment and betrayal. However, from the Stoic perspective, this kind of behavior is a test for your discernment. It challenges you to recognize who are the people who truly value your friendship and appreciation, and who is simply taking advantage of your generosity. It's important to remember that Stoicism doesn't promote cynicism or distrust, but rather the cultivation of a deep understanding of human nature. Through discernment, you can choose to help those who truly need it and will value your genuine support,